supporting materials have been provided. Members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I, Josh Gray, the chair, will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in a conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. After members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment to those members of the public that have joined the meeting via Zoom. Members of the public who wish to speak must state their names and be acknowledged by and speak through the chair. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. All right. And then you want me to go right into the agenda, Janet?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. You've already done the minutes.
Yep.
What do you want to take over from here, and we'll start the conversation with our guests?
Yes, so I'm delighted that Judi Hale from GS Hill Gallery and Connor Soverino from Murray's Strawberry Shop could join us this morning. We thought, and I want to welcome Marina Jube too from the Chamber. We thought it would be a good time to chat with business owners about what they thought the impact of the change from moving to a focused stroll weekend to a longer 6-week or so Nantucket Noel might be on their businesses and what they were anticipating, and if there were any way that we at Visitor Services, or I think the Chamber, could provide any further assistance as we go into the holiday season. So I guess I'd invite Judy's got her mic on. So why don't you start, Judi?
Thank you for having me. Stroll is just going to be different. We're not changing our hours or anything at all. We're going to be here straight through. We're anticipating many less people. The High Line has already given me the heads up that their bookings are unbelievably down, but I'm an optimist to the end. It's been a very challenging summer for all of us, and I guess the word reinventing yourself is the new norm around here. We've tried, granted it has not been a great one, but I still feel hope for Stroll Weekend. We close traditionally, we've always closed that weekend for the season. So we're looking forward to it. We're canceling, of course, all of our normal things we do, but I've had many clients and customers in the store, few as they are, asking, can we come? Is there anything open? And I've guided them pretty much to the Chamber website to where they can find out what's here or what's not here. But we're going to hang in there till the bitter end. And I wish us all luck and good weather.
Connie, you're the new GM at Murray's Targery, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
What are you anticipating? Is this be your first stroll or Nantucket Noel?
No, I've been there for 9 years now. And I tend to agree with Judi. I think we're obviously not going to have the same type of weekend that we've had in the past. But that being said, we've had a better shoulder season than we usually do. And I kind of think that'll continue through the stroll season. I think that I've heard from my customers that a lot of them are coming back, whether it be for Thanksgiving week, the week of stroll, just coming back in general. So I think, whereas we won't have that big 3 days like we usually do, I think we'll have a pretty good turnout over the, Thanksgiving through stroll weekend time period. I think, I'm like Judi, I'm optimistic. I'm hoping that, we'll see some familiar faces and hopefully have as good of a couple of weeks as we can.
Are either of you, excuse me, doing any additional online sales or set up an online shop?
Well, I've had an online store for my jewelry for several years, but because of the crisis that happened, we took our online store and turned it into what I call more like click and ship, like Amazon. It was a lot of work for my designer and myself, but it worked. But it has not increased sales like we were hoping. I'm more of I think a hands-on store. It's hard to sell a painting online. It's people will go and visit our website, but it's hard to sell a $12,000 painting online. People want to come in, they want to touch and feel the jewelry. They want to touch and feel, say, my light chip basket collection, or visually see Greg's paintings. And we've been here for 41 years, so a lot of folks just feel the need to come in. And the one thing I've noticed sitting down here all summer with the boats coming and going and curbside shopping and all that until we could open in June, is that people still are hesitant. And I think they're just afraid, even though I have my setup for COVID, everything outside the door so they can sanitize before they come in. They're just afraid to come in. And I understand that. They look in my window, but a lot of times you can just feel it. They're not going to go in anybody else's store either. You see them walking around and they're doing visual, but my online shopping, there has been a little more people visiting the website and inquiring about, say, a painting, or inquiring, are you going to be there all year? And I'm open 24/7 on my online store and on my website. So it's helped a little, but it's more of just the overall feel that I'm not one of those shops that you can just feel comfortable buying something until you've touched it, tried it on, felt it, or seen it in person.
How about you, Connor?
There you go.
Thanks, Judy.
We're fortunate enough that we actually had a pretty good online presence even prior to the pandemic. So we actually have a pretty big web business as it is. And we've seen a pretty big uptick this year, about 35%.
Wow.
And actually just yesterday, we launched our new website. We just had it redesigned. So we're hoping that for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and what would be Stroll Weekend, we see some increased traffic on there. But it's already been a pretty good e-commerce year for us.
Yippee.
There.
I will say that our website has been, I'm at Nantucket Looms, manage the retail store. But I will say that our online sales, and just to mimic what Connor said, that they've definitely been up in general since the beginning of the pandemic. We, like Murray's, have had an online presence for a long time now. This has given us a little bit of a boost to the pandemic for the website, but obviously, they're balancing each other out. The retail, or the in-person versus online. Art is very hard to sell on a website. We have a little section for it at the store's website, and it is very difficult. We try to keep it just $1,000 little paintings, and still people balk. And or if they can't touch it, if they can't see it in person, it's really hard. So Judi, I sympathize.
How about hospitality, Sharon and Karen? Are you seeing a downtick in over Stroll, or are numbers okay? Or
Well, I decided to close early this year.
You did, okay.
Just given there wasn't enough demand to keep the staff and everything going there. But I'd say the year before, I was sold out for Stroll by July.
Oh, wow.
And this year, when I was getting ready in September, let's say, I only had not even half my inventory sold. So, and Sharon, you could talk to the hotel. I think Jamie said you guys were down a bit.
Yeah, I'm sure we are. I'm not actually working in the property right now. I'm working for the corporate office, so I don't look at the reservations as much as I did before. But we had a very strong shoulder season, similar to what Connor was saying. We were sold out many weekends in September and October that we would not normally have been. We lost a lot of business because we lost a lot of the event business. So we lost a lot of the weddings and those big events. But we did have and continue to have a full hotel on the weekends. And I suspect that will continue through the fall. I don't know what Stroll will be like, especially with the food and beverage limitations that are being put into place. And I know a lot of people who come to the island like to come here and enjoy, the eating and drinking over Stroll. And since that's not going to be an option, I'm sure it won't be as strong as it has been in years past. But we were lucky with the shoulder season. So that's been, let's hope that continues.
And Judi, you said you close after Stroll normally. Connor, do you guys expect any changes to your normal schedule because of what's going on?
Nope, we'll be here year round. We'll continue to do our 2-week closure in February during the school break and the week before. But we'll be here. Other than that, to this point, nothing has changed.
The hotel might close in January because we won't have New Year's Eve. We won't have Ellen Hildebrand. So we lost 2 of our big events for January. So I don't know that it's been decided yet, but there's discussion about closing in January and February. We usually just close February. Our health club will stay open all year as it always does, but we may close in January.
Does anyone else have any questions for our guests?
Yeah, I was just,
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Karen, were you talking?
yeah, I was just going to ask, and this is addressed to both of you. How were you marketing your website? So, I mean, were you doing Facebook? Were you doing online marketing? How were you driving people into the site, or did you have your own installed, contact base and you were simply emailing out to them?
I'll be first. We did it several ways. I have my own constant contact list. I would post on Instagram and post on Facebook. And I would hope and ask everyone to please share, but I tried to do Google AdWords. I was told that was a real good way to drive my site to new people. And all I received from that, besides, of course, the bill, was I tried it for about a month or so, I was getting phone calls from all over the world, all kinds of stuff I didn't want to deal with. I don't know if it was scammers or what. So I dropped Google AdWords and I'm just pushing it myself personally. I post once a week, maybe twice a week, sometimes a couple of times a day, depending on what product I can put out there. I'm also finding a lot of my customers have said, I get so many things a day now. Everybody's trying to sell online. Nonprofits are doing auctions and they feel like they're just overwhelmed with social media, that I think sometimes they're just not looking at everything, or it's just moving on to the next site or whatever post, and that part has been a little disheartening for us because I've tried and I don't know what else to do but keep doing what I'm doing. And we found several people have contacted us, especially regarding my husband's work, for commission work. They've been thinking about it for years. They're not going to be able to come or they're to the island, but which has really been a major saving factor for our business. The number one thing too, and I will thank Nantucket Island Resorts for rent relief, which made a huge difference for us, even though we're still down about 25–40% right now, but I'm optimistic we're not over with for our gross sales in general. PPD was wonderful. Neil Martell at the bank helped me, a non-computer person, wade my way through the red tape for my payroll, which I was just not quite enough to cover my 2 part-time employees. But at this point, I always said every little bit helps. But there you go.
Thank you.
And Connor?
Again, we're lucky because we've had a presence for such a long time that I think people kind of just know about our site. But social media is a great resource. We try to post on Instagram, Facebook as much as we can. We do also have a couple kind of partnerships with other brands, and they feature us on their site, and that's helped exposure as well. So, you know, even if they're not looking for Murray's, they may find it through another one of our vendors who either mention us or, you know, sell some of our product through their site as well. So the double exposure definitely helps as well.
Mary, you had your hand up.
To piggyback off of that a little bit, the uptick in sales for us, and it sounds like probably for Connor, again, very lucky to have already had this presence before the pandemic hit. And the website, at least for us, and all of this social media has been a major investment for a number of years. So I can't imagine, Judi, what sort of, you know, I mean, that's a lot of pressure for so many business owners to be doing this on their own, trying to come up with all of these contacts and, you know, learn these social medias. You know, like we have people doing it for us, and it's an investment. So I mean, good on you to learn how to do all that in such a short amount of time.
Mary?
Thanks. I have a question for Sharon, and she may or may not know the answer. When you talk about in the shoulder season that you've had some great sold out weekends, I mean, that's awesome. But did the hotel have to do discounting to fill those heads and beds? Or was it just the fact that other inns have closed and you could keep up that demand and keep your, you know, average daily rate reasonable? I'm assuming it's probably a combination of both, but.
I think it's a combination. I don't think we kept the rates, you know, obviously our summer rates are different than the shoulder rates. But I'm sure, you know, like I said, I've been out of the hotel since September, so I don't know. I've been watching the rates and what everyone is paying and the occupancy rate, but we always drop the rates in the fall anyway. So I'm sure they continue. And I'm sorry, my husband's installing a door here banging. Our rates were adjusted accordingly, and I don't know how much of it was other inns being closed versus that we had extra facilities that were available, like having the restaurant or having the gym. I don't know. Jamie Holmes might have a better handle on, you know, where he thinks the demand is coming from.
Yeah, that's great. Plus, I think you also now have an established brand. So you have, you know, a repeat following. And I think a lot of people were just so desperate to go anywhere, where back in September, they were kind of feeling okay about traveling. I'm not sure they do today. But thanks, that's helpful.
Yeah. And I mean, and there's constant marketing efforts. Mark is very, very active. You know, we're talking about driving. It isn't, he's really trying to drive demand, and he's done lots and lots of outbound marketing, whether it's on our website or Instagram feed. So he has been pursuing tourism. It isn't like they're just flooding in. He has to actively market for it.
And Mary, the Lodging Association has the STR, the STAR report that we're doing now specific to Nantucket. So we will have exact data on exactly what happened to the ADR and the occupancy month by month. So we've already got that for the summer, and the ADR actually increased over the summer. The occupancy was down a bit, mostly June, a bit more in July. August, not so bad. In September, I think we're still waiting to get that report.
So great information.
Sharon, what does ADR mean?
Oh, sorry, average daily rate.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Peter.
I just have a question if anybody has any insight into the decision-making process to come to Nantucket for stroll. I just have a feel that people are going stir crazy and they are not making a decision to come here because they're fearful, but some percentage of them will reach the point where they say, I need to get out of here. I need to do what I know I shouldn't do. And what I'm looking for is just another 5% of assurance that it'll be safe to do so, which leads me to the idea that, the more that can be said about, yes, people are coming here. Yes, you can enjoy fine dining in a few places if that's possible, or yes, others are doing it. Does anybody have any insight into sort of what it is that's been driving demand just maybe in the last month or so? Because that would give some clue as to what might be happening.
I can tell you because of the weekend visitors, my weekends have been right now quite active considering the situation, but many a young couple, usually from Boston or that area, that can drive here for the weekend, they are coming, telling me, and newlyweds, believe it or not, came over maybe for their honeymoon, were married off island, to say, we just had to get away. And we've always wanted to come here, or we had to get out of Boston this weekend. And normally relatively affluent young couples, and they're going stir crazy and they want to come. As far as stroll, I have been asked that question a million times. What's going to be open? What are you doing? Are you still doing your raffle? Are you still doing hot wine and all this? And I have to tell them, by law, we can't, but plan ahead, find out through the chamber who's open. If you want to spend the night, make sure you've got a room before you come. But I've been finding the weekends, I don't know about the rest of you that are in retail or hospitality, since, let's say Columbus Day weekend, I was dreading it because I sit down here 5-6 days a week, and Monday through Thursday, it's pretty quiet. But then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I've seen a major influx of people for the month of October and early November. It's been heartening, let's say.
So my hunch is that there's kind of people are looking for a validation to make a decision at the last minute. And it might be a message that says, we've been doing pretty well on the weekends, but if you come over here for 2 days during the week, you'll have the island to yourself, or you'll have everything you want, and you can make a decision the last minute.
It's a catch-22, I would say, because, the whole thing's been a catch-22 because we need the business, but we also want everybody to remain safe. So, yeah, I know when people ask me about stroll, all we can really say is we think people are coming. And we're prepared for it with all what we call a skeleton crew. There's only, like 2 of us now on the floor, but we're prepared to be there, all 7 days that week, just like hunkering down in case it's really busy. But you also want to keep your customers safe and not have, we can't do the wine and the, that kind of thing like it used to be. So it's going to be a weird week, I think. And yes, they are like, I agree, Judi, this has been a very active weekend warrior November. Like there's groups of ladies on, it looks like little sister groups and stuff like that coming over. They all seem to be Massachusetts people, but more than, because November is usually pretty slow. And it seems like the weekends have been active.
Sharon?
Exactly.
Yeah, so I agree with everything that everyone's saying. The one thing, Peter, that I'm concerned about with trying to promote the island, or one of our challenges for the guests, the same thing that we had over the summer, we're having even more so now, which is the availability of dining options. And so people come, but where do they eat? And that's really a problem because downtown is closing up. Outside is very cold. You come on a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, it's very tough to find food. I've got my daughter in the hotel, similar to what, everyone said. She's in her 20s. She came with her boyfriend, had to get out of the city. They needed a place to go. This was a safe-ish place to go. It's lovely. They're hunkering down in the hotel. She's studying for finals. And so I think a lot of young people are looking for places to go, but then there's no food, there's no drinking, so the island wants them, but do we have enough services to support them is what I'm concerned about. And as we get to Stroll, we're going to have even more pressure on the few restaurants that are open, and the guests will be even more demanding about finding something to eat because it'll just be even more resource constrained. So I think we're going to run into a little bit of a challenge should we attract a lot of people, because we don't have enough restaurants downtown to really support it.
Yeah, I think a lot of us had heard.
I had a question.
Yeah. Go ahead, Judi.
That just curious, the food issue, I totally agree. I have had more people tell me, well, all the stores are closed already. And the restaurants, where can I get lunch? Where's a good place for dinner? I've called the restaurants that I know and made a reservation for them here in the store even. But my thought was, and I know this is probably not allowed, but the parking lot is up here, the A&P parking lot. And we have all these wonderful food trucks on the island. And I didn't know if that was a way on Stroll Saturday to bring in a few food trucks, like we used to do tents and everything, and possibly offer lunch or breakfast and lunch or whatever hour-wise, because I know when it gets dark down here, trust me, it gets really cold. But it was an option because I tell people in the gallery, and some people have called me, where can I stay? Who's open? I drive them to the chamber website, but I tell them before you come, make sure you've got a room, or make sure you find a reservation if you can, if you want to eat at any of the restaurants that are still open. So I'm just was wondering about the food truck thing. Has that been pursued at all by anyone?
Marina might be able to speak to that. Go ahead.
Hi. So the chamber has tried, as we've always done our marketplace, and we've tried to do a couple different options because we couldn't do the marketplace. Then we tried for food trucks and kind of like the farmers market idea, and then we weren't allowed to do that either. Basically, we aren't allowed to shut anything down to be able to do the food trucks because it draws a crowd. So
kind of also feels a little germy. And I'm not usually a paranoid person, but it does feel a little germy to have people standing around eating chili or whatever it is, congregating, and that's
Yeah, I have a question for Janet, but isn't it the issue too of the fear of more than 10 people congregating?
It's the
And I think
governor's order.
that's, it's our health department, backing up what the governor said. So I think that's more the issue. And I think that, to Judy's point, might have to be publicized as to why we're not doing some of these things, because I know the chamber, we talked about it on the events committee, and that we would try to think out of the box, but that there's a bigger set of rules we need to follow and set the example. So I think, Judi, as much as I would love to see some food trucks and bring back Rotary with the sausage, I think it's the governor's order and then our order that's even stricter that seems to be driving some of these decisions. Just my thought.
It's the timeline of the virus, which we don't know.
Sharon?
Exactly.
So I wonder though, did we ask, I understand everything about the congregating and putting all the food trucks in one place is dangerous because that does encourage a crowd. But what if we had a map where we gave locations of food trucks, and we have one over Children's Beach, we have one over at the top on Center Street, we have one over the top of Main Street, and we just give 10 different food trucks and we spread them around town and give everybody, at least for lunch or until 4 o'clock when it gets dark or something. Is that also, is it the single truck that we're afraid is going to draw more than 10 people in a line? Or was it having them all in one place that was considered a risk?
I think it's both. And there are also regulations or bylaws, I don't know which one, that limit where food trucks can be. And the reason that they could be in the parking lot is that's private property, but they can't be on certain town streets and the like.
Well,
and
but the town could change that, couldn't they? I mean, they allowed dining in the street.
True, but I don't think that inclination is there right now to do much more of that at this point in time.
Even during the summer, Dreamland had offered the back lot there to a food truck, but I think during the summer it was, part of it was they made more money at the beach or the brewery, but there was no movement once the season was over to allow anything like that, for us at least.
I think the surge that's happening right now, I think we're not going to have any options like that. Unfortunately, I think that if anything, things will get even more restricted, sadly.
Yeah. And I've heard anecdotally that the restaurants that are open are booking a lot of reservations for those holiday weekends. So there probably won't be a lot of options for people that don't think early. Any other questions for our guests? Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. When we have folks like you on here, it helps fill in a lot of holes when we discuss and advise Janet and David. And so it's great to hear right from you how things are going, and best of luck over the upcoming holiday weekends.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thanks
much
for having us.
Yep. Janet, I think your report is next on the agenda.
Sure, yes. Connected to what we were just talking about, the Economic Recovery Task Force and Back to Business Group issued its survey, and the results are now posted on our website. And a lot of that information overlapped with what we were hearing, that the fall was stronger and the summer was better than expected, and that there was some encouragement for more people to go online. We're going to use the results of that information. The Chamber's doing some educational programming based on some of those results. And we have a grant, a Smart Streets grant or Open Safe Streets grant to purchase some equipment, but it's not possible to purchase propane heaters and that kind of stuff because they're sold out all over the country. And most of the places that we were going to give them to or had
Right.
already purchased them.
Right.
So, and we'll be convening, Amy Baxter, the licensing administrator, will be convening some restaurant groups to start talking about 2021. And I've already had conversations with some cultural organizations about what events might be going on in 2021. And there's a word on the street that the Fagawi race is probably not going to happen this year. So people are looking that far out already.
Wow.
We're also working with Marina on the historic walking tour brochure revision because we had a lot of that activity this summer. There was only one tour operating and it was at half capacity. So we gave away hundreds of our historic walking tour brochure and it discovered it was about 8 years old. So it's time to redo it. So we're in the middle of redoing that. And people loved it. I mean, it got them all through town and seeing Nantucket for the Nantucket that we all know and love. The WPI students are here, or not here, but they're working remotely with several different groups. And I'm involved with one about Nantucket's customs and along those lines of what I was just talking about in terms of what it is we love about Nantucket, the architecture, the cobblestones, the beauty of it, and how that's changed during COVID because of, and the town's been a lot of responsibility for this too, signs everywhere. David and I came back to the office on yesterday and there's a new sign on the side of our building that I had no idea was even going to be there about staying safe and all of that. So we're trying to get a handle on what kinds of customs and regulations have changed, which ones should stay changed and which ones we want to put back into place in order to preserve that kind of identity that is Nantucket. I've been attending meetings of the Lodging Association about their room availability software, and I think there's going to be some transformations in that to make it a little easier and less expensive for people to get last minute reservations. I'm a member of the Cape and Islands Reopening Task Force. I joined that about a month ago. They meet weekly on Tuesdays, and it's a great opportunity to share best practices in sort of the regional resort community about what's going on, because that surge is happening everywhere, and it's creeping down from Boston and up from Providence, coming our way, the surge. I've just been invited to join a regional economic development professionals meeting, and that's a monthly meeting, a similar program that includes the South Coast to help think about ways to and support small businesses in this time. We don't have an economic development formal function in the town. If we did, it would be at the planning department. And I know that Christy Ferrantella is the select board member who's on that NPEDC and is working to try to bring that position and function into that operation, which would be a great thing because we've lost a lot of opportunity in the spring because we did not have an economic development officer. The cultural district, I have I've identified a work group to help me think through what the next articulation of that will look like. Because we're up for our redesignation next year. This is our 5th year, so next year we go for that again. And I also think it's time to rethink what it is we want the cultural district to be and do for our cultural organizations and for diverse expressions of culture on the island. Right now, it's pretty much focused on the downtown major institutions. And I would like to see a transformation to incorporate the cultural expressions of the communities that represent our diversity becoming more celebrated in that space. And more collaborations to take place as well. So I'll be convening that group shortly and running with that agenda. That's pretty much what I'm up to. David can give you the details on the visitor center.
Sure.
Unless you have questions for me.
I'm all set. Anybody else? Go ahead, David.
Okay. Our office is open on Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Jan and I are running the show. Excuse me. And we've had about, as you can see from our stats report for October, that our numbers are kind of tailing off compared to years past. But once again, our restaurant list, as we have been people been asking what's open, that is still the hit of everything that is downloadable. It's 7,190. And I get a lot of people coming in on Monday and Tuesday looking for the update. And it's like you say, um, uh, Monday and Tuesday especially are very hard to find something downtown. I had a couple come in yesterday looking for something for lunch, and they didn't have a car, and the nearest place, walkable place for a sit-down lunch that was open was in Rosencrantz. Everything else was closed for the day, or you had to get a car to go out of town or a bus, but they were looking for something local. So anyway, that's going on there. We are getting ready with our travel and lodging brochure for, excuse me, for next year. Pardon me, I got a frog in my throat. So we are getting that rolling and updating it, and not printing it like we had in the past. We're going to just do an update electronically with the lodging group. And so basically we still have 2020 brochures available, but we're going to like put stickers on them to say, for the most up-to-date information, please contact the inns directly. So we're going to be working on that. That should be out by January, early February. And we're looking forward to Thanksgiving and Stroll. I have in case you're wondering what's open for Thanksgiving, it is on our website, and it's under the visitor information tab under subsection of restaurants, and it says Thanksgiving. And not very many restaurants can be open for sit-down in-person dining. It's going to be a lot of takeaway, pre-order. So it's going to be a difference Thanksgiving, and I'm going to be putting the stroll list together shortly. So that's really all I have at this point.
Great, thank you. Sharon?
So David, question for you. How responsive are the restaurants to you about updating their information?
Generally, the legwork that I've been doing is doing a lot of walkarounds, talking with people, calling, and also checking on their websites. Actually, the social media part, a lot of them do Facebook posts daily and do updates of upcoming things. And if there's a question, I always call them and check. So it's been very easy to get the updates, and it just this year, with all the restrictions, it's going to be hard to kind of have those options out there to, have what's going on to dine for these holidays, or, what's coming up for the next few weeks.
Yeah. Do you feel like they're making last minute decisions about staying open or not? The reason I'm asking is my daughter was here this weekend, and she's still here, and we were calling some of the to-go places, and they weren't open, even though they didn't limit their hours on our list. They weren't answering their phones. They weren't. And so I just wondered how well we think they're communicating with us, or are they making decisions on the fly? Like, oh, it's too quiet yesterday, I'm going to close tomorrow.
Yeah, sometimes it's on the fly. Actually, what that could be part of, that could have been something on my part. I was away last week, so I wasn't able to update because I got back to the island, and I discovered that several locations had said we're going away for like 3 or 4 days, and we'll reopen again next week.
Got it. Okay.
That was after I had, been checking on it. It's just that it's a spur of the moment thing for a number of people. They seem to be kind of seeing the woodwork, the writing on the wall about some places closing for a couple of weeks that had already been announced, and then they're like, okay, maybe I should do that too.
Right. It just puts more pressure on already a resource constrained system where it's just very hard for our tourists to know where they can eat, and there's nothing you can do about
Right.
how responsive the restaurants are when they decide to close. But I think it's a challenge. And I think it's going to continue to be a challenge throughout the
It
season
just-
and in the spring.
It's gonna be an interesting winter.
And some of the takeout places have been so successful during this time, like Shangri-La, for instance, they've been open 7 days a week since God knows when. And I think while you're away, David, I think they took off like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah.
I don't think they really, put that out there beforehand.
No, and then the other thing too is the new law where the restaurants have to close at 9:30, and takeout is still available, but we have 10 o'clock curfew. So how does that work? Is it to these? I mean, do these delivery people still go out after 10 o'clock? I've still have to kind of investigate further.
And what about the people working in the restaurants? They have to get home.
Right.
They have to break
the
down the
other thing
restaurant.
is, I got off the late boat Friday night, and we're wondering, like, do we get stopped getting off the boat? Because it's 10:15, and but you got to go home, and or do you shut down the late boat and not run that?
I haven't heard of anybody getting pulled over yet, and there's plenty of people out past 10.
I'm pretty sure the cops have better things to do than pull people over who are driving home.
Yeah.
At 10 o'clock at night.
Well, they're all in a lot. It's like 7 or 8 cars all in a row, so that you got to figure they're coming from somewhere.
Right. Is that it? Anybody else have any questions? Janet, do we normally have a meeting in December? I don't think we did last year, but.
No, last year, that was our last meeting
Oh, it
until
was, okay,
September.
okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Usually we take January off.
Okay.
Anybody got a passion to hear somebody, a special guest?
It would be roughly the same date, right? So it'd be post stroll.
Yeah, it'll be post stroll.
Well, it'd be great to hear from Marina or somebody, or somebody at the chamber about how stroll went.
Yeah.
Maybe some insights
And-
into the spring.
And I think it would be interesting to see what Amy's doing for spring. If she's been, had some successful meetings with, the restaurants, and, if they've even been able to do it by December. They may not.
Yeah, she
I
was
think-
trying to set it up 2 weeks ago and hadn't been able to do it yet. She's trying to
Yeah.
wrestle them in, but I can give her a jingle and see if she's around.
Yeah,
Ju-
Carmen
just
and myself can also come on next time too.
Yeah, okay.
And maybe Jamie Holmes would be interesting to invite and have him talk about what our fall, he's head of the lodging association.
Oh.
Him and Karen could give us a report.
Yeah. It'd be great to have that data before we start looking at Daffodil and things like that.
Yeah.
Okay. I will tell you that the fireworks are not going to happen on New Year's Eve.
Okay.
We don't know what the plan is yet for the summer or 2 shows, whatever. So we're still thinking it through and talking with various departments that are involved with making sure that we have a safe 4th of July or a fireworks display.
Great.
Janet, I have a question unrelated to visitor services, just more to the town. Is there ever public investigation that will be discussed about the 2 recent fires?
The chief has posted a couple of Instagram statements about propane issues and that the state fire marshal is also investigating them. But so there is an ongoing investigation.
Is it on, where would I see the fire chief's posts? On
Probably the town's Instagram account,
town's Instagram? Okay, thank you.
or maybe Facebook page. I'm not exactly sure where I saw them. I'm on both platforms
Yeah.
all the time.
I think I saw it on the Instagram account.
Yeah, but they're basically propane related. And he mentioned yesterday in a meeting that they shut down all the propane service on Woodbury Ave and had to have, every homeowner had to have their service provider come in and check their lines.
How many service providers are there on the island? 2?
I think 3, but I'm not sure.
Yates, Nantucket Energy,
Island.
Harbor Fuel, maybe
Yeah, Island, yeah, whatever, yeah.
Island Gas. All right. If there's nothing else for the good of the order, I think we are good to adjourn. Can I get a second on that?
Second.
All right. The Visitors Services Advisory Council is adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.
We'll
Have
be
a
in
good day.
touch soon. All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Thank you. Have a good day,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.